I used to spend all day on the sidewalk, and then Mama would yell at me from a window.
In the golden days of unemployment, no one worked.
Well, I've studied history, and in my opinion, it all goes back to Thatcher. You know, Thatcher were the big bang when it come to all this. When she was just getting started in politics. Thatcher had a big resentment against anyone who weren't, living in Buckingham Palace or number 10. And she used to, for holidays, she used to go up and places where I'm from, and she'd go up to people and say, "Are you working?" And if they said no, she'd give them a big backhand, just like that, a big backhand.
The cruelty of Thatcher was unparalleled. No one would see anything like it again until Ronald Reagan.
I don't give a rusty fuck about the poor. Fuck them all. You either work or you die.
I was 35 years old when Ronald Reagan became president, so I wasn't quite an adult and I wasn't quite a child. I was kind of in this kind of hazy realm, and up until that point, my life had been fairly enjoyable. Once a month, I would get a welfare check, and I would take my welfare check out to a nearby lake, and I would watch the whippoorwills and compose poetry and look at the berries upon the heath, and it was quite an idyllic existence. And when Reagan became president, all of a sudden it became a very different story. It was less Anne of Green Gables and more Stephen King's Christine. But instead of a car being possessed by the devil, it was the devil himself, Ronald Reagan.
So powerful was the conjoined evil of Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan that many of the protesters seen in this footage were driven by poverty and hunger to accept employment.
I came to London because I heard that there were more opportunities down here, and I came down, and the very first day I could tell things were different. They went to a hostel because that was all I could afford, was a hostel, and I went there, and I took what little money I had with me, and I got paid the man at the hostel, and he gave me a little key. And I said, "Where's the room?" And he said, "That's it." I said, "What, the key is the room?" And I had to pay an extra surcharge just to get shrunk down to fit in the key, and the next day I was supposed to go to my job, the counsellor at the job centre, so I could get my, you've got to do the whole, I'm trying to get the gyro, but it takes longer to get out of the key, because you've got to unfold back to your regular size. So my very first night in London, I'm thinking, is this really how things are?
One person who was aware of how things were was the man who painted this picture, former art school student Dirk Megler.
I think that was a real eye-opener for me, was, when I finally did, leave art school, there was this sort of expectation that, now you're out of art school, you must find some work. And I think this is, sort of an unfair pressure that society sort of, is it hoist or foist? I always forget. They either foist or hoist this pressure on you that, now you're out of art school, you must find some kind of employment. And the thing is that if you don't, like, society will literally punish you. It will literally say, okay, you don't have a job, you're not going to eat.
It wasn't just art school students who could see the painting on the wall. The message was clear. If you wanted to stay in the city, you had better work.
I'm supposed to meet the job centre guy, and as it turns out, that whole area of London that I would have walked down to go to the job centre was broken, so I couldn't use it, and I was going to ring the job counsellor guy and tell him, but my fingers don't really work, when I have to do something with them. I don't want to do, like, dial the numbers, so they get all naughty.
The detrimental effects of rising employment were soon felt across the pond, as reflected in the American drama series Wages.
So you can call me whatever you want, but my given name is Roscoe. It was the name that was given to me. And speaking of given, that's why I'm here. I just want to be very clear that I ain't looking for a job. I ain't looking for any kind of employment. All I'm looking for is a handout. I just want to be up front and clear. I don't want people getting the wrong idea, thinking I'm coming in here looking for a fair day's work for a fair day's wages. That ain't what I'm about. That's not the way I was raised. I'm looking for somebody who's got, a certain amount of money, who's willing to hand that money over to me with nary a prospect of being paid back. That's really what I'm about. So if you could just look at my paperwork there, and actually the paperwork, I don't even like to do the paperwork. That was kind of something I was trying to meet you guys halfway, because I know you got the whole government structure up there and everything's all tied together.
And I ain't saying anything bad about people who work. I ain't judging people who got jobs or want to be employed. Matter of fact, I got a lot of friends who got jobs. And we get on like a house on fire. The only thing we differ in is they work and I don't. And we just don't see eye to eye on that. But so I ain't here to pass judgment on. If you wanna work, that's your life. I ain't gonna judge you. I was brought up not to judge nobody. And every time I was in court, whether that was for vagrancy or assault or thieving or whatever, every time I always told the judge, I say, don't judge no one. And I tell the judge, I said, what you're doing is you're judging. I couldn't do what you do. And not just because it's work, that's one thing, but also because you're judging. You're working and you're judging. Your work is you judge. I mean, that's a double whammy for me.
Well, so the thing with Donald Trump right now is that everybody's like, waving the flag, saying like, oh, wow, unemployment's going down. People are getting jobs, But what you're not hearing is you're not hearing like the individual stories, of these people, people like me, who for months, did not have to work, right? But now, thanks to Donald Trump's, let's tackle unemployment thing, now I've got to get up in the morning. Okay, I've got to go to some place that I don't want to go to, and now all of a sudden where it used to be before, it was like, here's something. Now I have to do something to get that something, right? And those are the stories that you're not hearing. Thanks to Brexit, it's not just the Americans who are feeling the sting. Soon, even the British will be forced to go to work.
I mean, the reason I can't work, and I didn't want to bring this up, and I don't want to mention this because I don't really like to get very personal about my life. But you're dangling the money in front of me, saying you want it where you got to work. You're painting me to this corner now where I've just got to tell the truth. The reason I can't work is because I've got ADHD. That's why I can't work. I don't have any attention for it, isn't it? I'm gonna go watch a box set now. You fuck. And people say, but we're hungry, and they say, no, you have to work to eat, and it becomes a sort of very quid pro quo thing that is it foist or hoist? I always forget. It's either hoisted or foisted on you, the sort of quid pro quo thing.